Welcome to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Alton West. Today I will have a guest on from the LaGrange Police Department and also from West Georgia Health. So stay tuned for those interviews in just a moment. Welcome to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. My guest today is from the LaGrange Police Department, Code Enforcement Officer Phillip Clark. Phillip, welcome to the show.
Good to see you, Alton. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's good to sit down with you, Phillip. I know that once upon a time you had another life. You were kind of recording stories with the LaGrange Daily News, and then you came on board with the LaGrange Police Department, and we're just glad to have you on board helping us within the community.
It's good to be here.
Let's talk a little bit about, because I know that the viewing audience perhaps know that there's code enforcement, like as far as housing, and then there's code enforcement that you deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Talk a little bit about your role as far as a code enforcement officer is concerned, Phillip.
Well, I think the biggest difference is the housing are issues that take a little time to handle. My issues are a little bit more immediate. They're littering, that can be residential littering primarily in the inner city, and then there's inoperable vehicles in the inner city. Mm-hmm. And then what we call property maintenance, which is just another way of asking people to address issues in their yards. Mm-hmm. And those are the things that I deal with, Alton, and again, they're a little bit more immediate as far as solvability, if you will.
Oh, okay, all right. So basically, again, just to recap, you do automobiles, grass, litter, debris, things of that nature.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Phillip, let me ask you.
For the most part.
For the most part, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you do wear a number of other hats too. We'll talk about a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you now, why is it so important for us, or for you as a code enforcement officer, that these things are attended to? Why do you think it's so important?
Well, I think that in order to do this job, you've got to love the city and enjoy the city you live in, and which I do. My children go to school here, my wife works here, been living here a long time. So if you're going to live someplace, you may as well make it as nice as possible and as appealing as possible to yourself or to visitors that may come to the town. So that's the chief aspect of why I believe what I do is important.
Okay, very good. Mm-hmm. And it is so important because a lot of times we come in through Whitesville Road, Hamilton Road, some of my major gateways, Franklin Road, Commerce, and it's, I've heard that businesses have been lost just by, when they came through and they saw certain things they said it didn't necessarily fit their business model. And I think a lot of that has to do with the appearance of the community as far as the neatness and cleanness of the community. And that's just my personal opinion. Mm-hmm. Okay.
I agree with you.
And let me ask you, now, someone has a vehicle. You mentioned a moment ago about an inoperable vehicle. Mm-hmm. Explain what you mean and what the code defined as an inoperable vehicle for us, Phillip.
Well, without getting too much into all the verbiage of the code, is basically an inoperable vehicle is a vehicle that does not have a current license plate or sticky decal. That makes it inoperable, because if you drive it in that condition, you can get a ticket.
That's right.
All right. The other thing is, if the vehicle is in a state of disrepair, it's been wrecked, it's pretty much needs to go to the shop and get repaired, or it needs to go and get crushed up for salvage. Those are the things that make an inoperable vehicle something that can be addressed with a citizen.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. And again, it's just for the safety, and then too, a lot of things you got to think about. If it's inoperable, it sits for a very long period of time.
The IPIL, the eyesore nature of the beast.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, they have to be licensed or registered and have a valid sticker, tag, decal, so on and so forth.
That's right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then we also, another part of your job is to deal with weed, grass. Mm-hmm. Talk about that for us, Phillip, and what's an acceptable height and what's an unacceptable height.
Well, the code says anything over 12 inches or above, it can be addressed with the citizen. But the type of properties that I really enjoy working on, though, are the vacant properties where a building may have stood at one point that gets cleaned up. For instance, over on East Depot Street, across the street from the old Newman Construction business. There's a property over there that we cleaned up back in February, and the owners are in West Palm Beach, Florida, and the property had not been maintained in a number of years, and we had that cleaned up, and it looks much better. So those are also the type issues I tackle, as well as the residential property issues that are out there. And now it's about to really start popping because we've had a pretty warm winter. Spring is already here. The temperature is already in the 70s, and once the weather breaks, that's really going to get to be a chief aspect of my job.
Okay, so you not only basically you say you deal with commercial properties as well as residential properties there.
Yeah, I enjoy the commercial property cleanup, and I don't have too much of that with a problem with the people that have businesses now that are vibrant and going. They do a great job. It's with the closed down businesses or businesses where a building's been torn down and grass is 2 to 3 feet tall.
And we see some of those.
We do, and I try to tackle those.
Absolutely, and I know Phillip, you do a great job, and I think you're the only code enforcement officer in the, I guess we say on the environmental side that we have with the City of LaGrange at this point.
At this point, right now.
That's right. Very good. Now let me, if someone would like to lodge a complaint, how do they go about doing that, Phillip?
Most of the complaints are lodged with me by phone call.
Okay.
And my number for that is 706-883-2624.
Okay.
And I get a number of messages every day, where I have to check them and get back with the people. I try to do that on a timely basis, and I try to tend to their complaint in a timely manner.
Okay, all right. Because I've gone out on a couple of cases, and people call. I get some calls, and of course, I forward a few down to your office as well. People get concerned about things, or something just don't look right.
That's right.
And they'll ask, well, can you investigate? And that's what we do have to do as a municipality and as a government. Now, just say, for example, a case you've gone out and you observed an offense. You made a citation against them. What does that citation mean to that individual, the property owner?
Actually, it's the first thing that I do if I can talk to them. In a lot of cases, it's verbal. It's handled verbally.
Okay.
And then I will make a note to follow up. In the cases where I don't see someone out in their yard where I can talk to them in person, then I'll put a notice of violation in their door to get the item handled, and that is not a citation. That's just a reminder that I saw something that, according to the code, needs to be attended to. Now, after that, I'll follow up a number of times, Alton, and it may not ever be exactly like I want it to turn out. In some cases it is, some cases it's not. Now, it can eventually result in a citation, but we try our best to get compliance. And I think we do. The statistics are pretty good on the compliance that I get.
Okay, well, very good. Now, I know that in your daily routines or daily duties, Phillip, you probably have an occasion to work with some other groups or other departments. Sanitation department, I think, is one that you work with. Talk about that for us.
I work with the sanitation department on a daily basis, I would safely say. And I talk to Ronnie Cantrell numerous times a day about issues that will ultimately help his department. And I work very closely with sanitation, more than I ever dreamed I would when I got this job. But it's a good thing because I'm helping them, and sometimes it's a slow process, but I can find a number of things every week that takes a little bit of a load off them if I can get the citizen to handle what they created. But I work with sanitation closely. I've been known to have to help animal control a little bit. They'll call me from time to time to help them with an issue, and I'm glad to do it. That's something new, and so I'm glad to help them. But I try to really help sanitation. They, you know, I can be an extra eyes and ears for them and help them with their reduce their workload.
Okay, and talking with your relationship with sanitation, I think, you know, you were talking about sometime it may be something as simple as the residents pulling the carts back to the back of the home, or helping them to understand the various trash pickup weeks. Talk about that for us, Phillip.
The trash carts are something I focused on heavily back in early March, late February, over in Murphy, Stonewall, Juniper, Elm, Park, Alford, over on those streets. Worked on that pretty hard and saw a difference in that. Ben Wheeler with Dash got with me and pointed out some things. That was a good example of a citizen, you know, getting in touch with me about an issue that maybe I had not seen. And I got on that and worked probably 80 houses on those streets and asked them to not put their carts out 3 or 4 days ahead of time, and then when they were emptied, you know, to put them out behind their house or to the side of their house. But the key is follow up, and that's what I hope we can address.
Absolutely. You know, again, you're talking about, you know, trash receptacles. I think there's the ordinance states that they have to be moved back within a certain number of hours or days.
That's right.
Anyway. So again, you know, all the things that you're talking about is just to prevent the citizen from getting a notice of violation from you or someone else there. Again, it's a protective measure there.
Well, the carts also get knocked over.
Absolutely.
You know, and that creates the litter.
Okay, absolutely. Well, Phillip, I want to thank you for coming on and sharing this information with us about helping us to keep our city in great shape, picked up, and things of that nature. Now, give them your contact number one more time. If some of the viewing audience might have a question about something, give me the number that they can contact you again one more time, Phillip.
Okay. The number to call me at my desk is 706-883-2624.
All right. Well, Phillip, thank you very much for coming on and sharing this information today.
Thank you.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We'll be back for more City Week in just a moment. Welcome back, City Week, ladies and gentlemen. Today, my guest is on from West Georgia Health, the program coordinator of First Step, Norma Tucker. Norma, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you very much, Alton.
Well, Norma, you wear a number of hats in our community as well, don't you? Some of our viewing audience, well, no, all of our viewing audience know you as councilperson Norma Tucker as well, right?
Yes, that's an honor, and I've enjoyed the opportunity here for the City of LaGrange.
Well, we just appreciate all the work that you and the mayor and council do for the city and citizens of LaGrange, and you know, we just can't say enough about the staff, myself included.
Oh yes,
okay.
Great staff.
Just want to toot my horn there.
The staff makes us look good.
Well, we appreciate that so much, Norma. Well, Norma, you're here now as the program coordinator of a program called First Steps. That is, I think, kind of new to our viewing area?
Well, not necessarily new. It was first here at West Georgia Health in 2008, and the program was funded through Prevent Child Abuse Georgia grant.
Okay.
And now that changes have been taking place at the state level, the West Georgia Health determined that the program was very valuable to our community and they wanted to keep it here. So now I have the opportunity to serve our community in that role.
Okay, well, very good. You know, as I stated, you wear a number of hats, because I noticed you have worked with Twin Cedars.
Yes.
With teen girls there as well. And it just seems like teens and I guess early childhood is a passion of yours.
Yes, it is, and it has been for a long time. I know we have the issue of parenting too soon in our community and all across the country. And so that is still an opportunity that through my new role, I have the opportunity to partner with community members such as programs like Circle of Care, Troup County Health Department, Family Connections, United Way, and all of the programs around our community. Our First Steps program also provides services to families in Meriwether County, Heard County, Harris County, and of course Troup County. But we even go across the line to Alabama residents who give birth at West Georgia Health.
Oh, okay. Well, very good. And so you operate out of the hospital?
Yes,
there?
out of the hospital. Our office is located right outside the OB and Labor and Delivery unit at West Georgia Health on the 3rd floor there. And First Steps works with new parents to share information. And I brought one of our parent packets that I'd like to go through with briefly. But we work with new parents, and we go in after within a couple of days of delivery and share information about resources that are available in the community. And we are very fortunate to have great resources here.
Absolutely. You know, I know that, you know, there's on the new wing, I think that's where the OB wing is.
Yes.
There. Very nice. I've been in there a couple of times there. And you know, just to be in there and just to kind of see all the caring and everything. So basically, you know, I'm kind of learning now that compassion comes from the nursing side of you, right?
Yes, yes. My mother was a nurse for a long time with public health, and I went into the Navy and served as a hospital corpsman, which is similar to a licensed practical nurse, and my background in pharmacy. And now I'm a retired Navy member, so thank God that chapter has allowed me to move on to the next chapter. And thank God the next chapter includes First Steps.
Okay, well, so, very good, very good. And so now you said is providing services to new parents.
Yes.
But and I guess now, my God, I think a lady can go in the hospital, have a child today and out by that afternoon. Yeah. Maybe not quite that quick.
Not quite that fast, but
how long can they receive these services?
Generally, well, the services First Steps program, generally the length of stay in the enrollment in the program is 3 months. However, if a family chooses to need that support or want our services longer than that, we can serve them for a year. But we try not to go beyond that year. 3 months generally during that time, when we go in and present the information about the services and the resources in the community, the packet includes information about car seat safety. We have a great partnership with the Troup County Sheriff's Department. It's called the Whale Program, or We Have a Little Emergency. And in that program, the parent includes their emergency contact information, and they put these little check marks on the rear window of the car and on the sides of the car seats. This emergency contact information is fitted in the back of the child's car seat, and when they're positioned properly, that is out of view. But what it does is in the event of an accident, the Sheriff's Department sees those check marks on the back window, and they know that they should first expect that a child may be in the vehicle. And in the event the parents are unable to render emergency information, they know now that they can look on the back of the car seat and find that emergency contact, and so they can initiate contact with family members right away. And so that's a great resource that our community has. It also shares information about SIDS. SIDS, or sudden infant death syndrome. Some members may know it as crib death. And it's been shown that that putting the baby, when the baby is resting or sleeping, putting the baby down on their back is best and safest in the prevention of SIDS and sudden infant death syndrome. We've got information about family dynamics when a new child or a new family member comes in. We've got that information included. And we go into information about postpartum depression. A lot of times we think of the birth of a child as a very happy occasion, and yes, thank God it is for most new moms. But in some cases, a mother may find herself unable to cope or recover easily after giving birth because of the hormonal changes her body goes through. So sometimes they may experience crying with no reason and uncontrollable teariness. So at that time we suggest that they contact their doctor so that the doctor can suggest a plan of action for them.
Let me ask you a question about the SIDS. You were mentioning that one a moment ago, because I think, you know, sometimes it changes up. We've heard that facing the child down on its stomach is the best, but now here you mentioned that lying him on his back or her on his back is the best. Right. Do we still see a high rate of SIDS death happening? Well,
there is still a number of incidents of SIDS, but a lot of times it may be unrelated to the position of the child as much as the clutter. A lot of parents have the habits or practice putting stuffed animals in the crib with the babies, or putting lots of blankets and covers in there. So a lot of times those extra items that are in the crib may contribute to the baby's death. We suggest that they put them on the backs to sleep, and that's easy to remember, back to sleep. And we suggest that when the baby's awake and the parents around, put them on their face so they can get their exercise and explore their new world.
Okay.
You know, so if they're awake, yes, it's fine to put them on their stomach because they're going to be exercising those muscles and getting some activity. But when they're asleep, we suggest that they put them down on their backs.
Okay, very good. Now, even when when they put the child down on his back, should they be periodic? And I know we have the monitors and everything now.
Oh, yeah.
Periodic checking on the child?
Oh, yes. And you would hope that, just for interaction's sake, a new parent, we encourage new moms and new dads to rest when the baby rests. But most of the times the parents are off trying to do whatever they couldn't do while they were feeding the baby, cleaning the baby, or otherwise engaging the baby. So a lot of times parents forget to take care of themselves, and that's a part of the support that First Steps program offers. We encourage the mothers to remember that you've got to take care of yourself. You've got to rest properly, you've got to eat properly, and you've got to keep yourself clean after delivery as well, and in the early months after delivery. So because a lot of times the parents do lose track of themselves because everybody's focused on the child.
The new baby, that's right. Well, you know, being a grandfather of 3, I went to each one of my grandsons' birthday, and there's nothing like it. You know, it's just like, oh my God, if you just keep them that size forever.
Yes.
You know? But unfortunately, they grow up. Well, let me ask you also, now, Norma, you have a packet there of information that all the parents can get there.
Yes.
Now, and you fund it through the hospital there.
Yes.
How do you all do, I mean, I know that you're staff of 1 right now, correct? How do you all provide these services? Through volunteerism, or how do you provide them?
Well, I serve as the coordinator, and one of my responsibilities is to get volunteers to go in, and we go through the hospital orientation as well as the First Steps orientation to introduce potential volunteers to our program services. We'll go in and find out how many new moms we have on our unit, and after that, we'll visit them, generally within 24 to 48 hours of them giving birth. We try to respect their first day,
that's right.
but we do try to get in within 24 to 48 hours of delivery and to meet with them. The volunteers are helpful in several different roles. They can, if they have the training and the experience and the desire to do so, they're allowed to go in and meet with the parents, visit the parents, and share the program packet. And they're also available to do follow-up calls. Generally, we will make phone calls 2 weeks after the new parents go home, and we'll make them more frequently if there's a need or an express desire by the parents while they're there at the hospital to receive follow-up calls. And volunteers can also help put the packets together in the office. So volunteers are an extremely important part of our program services. So, and we are in recruitment mode at this time.
Okay, well, go ahead, as we close out, give me your contact information if someone that's listening would like to volunteer for First Step. Give me your contact information. Norma.
Well, we're the West Georgia Health First Steps program. Our phone number is 706-812-2266, or you can reach me by email at tuckerin@wghealth.org.
Okay. Well, Norma, thank you very much for coming on and sharing the information about First Step. And I know that the phones start ringing. You get some volunteers to kind of get out there and help with these new parents. And once again, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you very much, Alton, for the opportunity.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We'll be back for more City Week in just a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for watching City Week this week. My guests have been Phillip Clark, Code Enforcement Officer from the LaGrange Police Department, as he talked about the difference between code enforcement, dealing with housing, and also filth and litter. Ladies and gentlemen, my other guests have been Norma Tucker, the Program Coordinator for the First Step Program that's housed out of the West Georgia Health. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you've enjoyed these interviews, and as always, I want to invite you back for more of City Week.